In 1513, Niccolo Machiavelli sat in exile, bitter and broken. He wrote a book that would be banned, burned, and condemned by the church for centuries. The Prince. A manual so ruthless, so unforgiving, that even today his name is synonymous with evil. But here's what they don't tell you. Machiavelli wasn't teaching evil. He was revealing a truth about power that everyone uses, but no one admits. He was pulling back the curtain on how the world actually works, not how it should work, not how we wish it worked, but how it does. 370 years later, another man picked up where Machiavelli left off. Friedrich Nietzsche, German philosopher, classical scholar, and like Machiavelli, a man who dared to say what others only whispered. Nietzsche looked at the same world Machiavelli saw. The same games, the same masks, the same lies people tell themselves to sleep at night. And he went further. He didn't just describe the game. He described the player, the kind of person who wins, the kind of person who rises, the kind of person who becomes unstoppable. Both men were hated. Both were misunderstood. Both were accused of corrupting minds and destroying morals. But both were right. And when you combine their teachings, when you merge Machiavelli's tactics with Nietzsche's psychology, you get something powerful, something dangerous, something most people will never understand. Tonight, we're going to unlock it. The 7 keys to becoming unstoppable. Not through empty motivation, not through wishful thinking, but through cold, hard truth. The kind of truth that makes you uncomfortable. The kind that changes how you see yourself and everyone around you. This is the Hidden Codex, where ancient wisdom meets modern power. Before we go deeper into what these two minds discovered, if you sense there's more to success than what you've been told, if you're tired of the surface-level advice that leads nowhere, then subscribe to the Hidden Codex. Hit that like button. Turn on notifications, because what comes next cannot be unlearned, and most people aren't ready for it. Now let's begin. Machiavelli and Nietzsche never met. Different centuries, different countries, different lives. But they saw the same thing. They both looked at humanity and saw what most refused to see. That beneath the civilized surface, beneath the morals and the manners and the laws, there's something else. Something primal, something ruthless. And the people who pretend it doesn't exist are the ones who get crushed by it. Machiavelli learned this the hard way. He wasn't born powerful. He was a diplomat, a servant of the Florentine Republic. He watched princes rise and fall. He saw good men destroyed. He saw evil men thrive. And he asked himself one question. Why? Why do the virtuous lose? Why do the cunning win? And after years of observation, he found his answer. Because virtue, as society defines it, is a weakness, unless you know when to use it. Nietzsche came to the same conclusion centuries later. He called it the transvaluation of values. Society teaches you to be meek, to be humble, to turn the other cheek. And Nietzsche asked, why? Who benefits from your weakness? Not you. Someone else. Someone above you. Someone who wants you to stay small. Nietzsche saw that morality, as it's taught, is a tool of control, a chain around the neck of the strong, and he spent his life trying to break that chain. So here's the first key. The foundation, the thing both men understood before anything else. The world rewards power, not goodness. You can be the kindest person alive, the most honest, the most generous, and the world will chew you up and spit you out. Not because kindness is bad, but because kindness without power is invisible. It's trampled, it's exploited. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince. A man who wishes to act entirely up to his professions of virtue soon meets with what destroys him among so much that is evil. Translation? If you're good all the time, you'll be destroyed by those who aren't. Nietzsche put it differently. He said the problem isn't being good, the problem is being weak. He wrote in Beyond Good and Evil, you have your way, I have my way. As for the right way, the correct way, and the only way, it does not exist. There is no universal morality. There's only what works and what doesn't. And if you're waiting for the world to reward your goodness, you'll be waiting forever. So what does this mean for you? It means stop expecting fairness. Stop expecting people to see your value just because you're good. Stop waiting for karma. The world doesn't work that way. The world respects results. It respects strength. It respects those who take what they want. Not through aggression, not through cruelty, but through strategic action. Through knowing when to be kind and when to be ruthless. That's power. That's the first key. Now here's where most people stumble. They hear this and think, so I should be a bad person? No, that's not what either man said. In fact, Machiavelli was clear. A prince should appear virtuous, should seem generous, honest, compassionate, but he should never be enslaved by those appearances. He should use virtue as a tool, not as a prison. Nietzsche called this wearing the mask. He believed that the truly powerful understand that society is a stage, and on that stage, you play a role. You don't reveal everything. You don't show your full self to everyone. You adapt. You shift. You become what the situation demands. Nietzsche wrote, "Every profound spirit needs a mask." Why? Because if people see your true power too early, they'll fear you. They'll resist you. They'll try to tear you down before you rise. So the second key is this. Master the appearance of virtue while retaining the flexibility of ruthlessness. This doesn't mean being fake. It means being strategic. It means knowing that the world judges you by what it sees, not by what you are. And if you want to rise, you need to control what people see. Let's make this practical. You're in a workplace. You want a promotion. Most people do one of two things. They either work hard and hope someone notices, or they play politics and burn bridges. Both fail. The first is naive, the second is reckless. But if you understand Machiavelli and Nietzsche, you do something else. You work hard and make sure the right people notice. You're helpful, but not a pushover. You're ambitious, but not threatening. You're visible, but not arrogant. You wear the mask of the ideal employee while quietly positioning yourself as indispensable. That's strategy. That's power. That's how you win. But here's the third key, and this is where it gets darker. Both Machiavelli and Nietzsche understood something most people deny, that human beings are not naturally good. We're not naturally cooperative. We're not naturally fair. We're animals, sophisticated animals, but animals nonetheless. And like all animals, we respond to incentives, fear, desire, status, survival. Strip away the culture, the education, the religion, and what's left? The will to power. Nietzsche built his entire philosophy around this idea. The will to power, the fundamental drive in every living thing, not the will to survive, not the will to be happy, the will to dominate, to overcome, to rise. Nietzsche wrote, "What is good? All that heightens the feeling of power, the will to power, power itself. What is bad? All that proceeds from weakness." He didn't mean physical strength. He meant psychological strength, the strength to create your own values, to define your own path, to refuse the herd. Machiavelli saw the same thing but expressed it differently. He noticed that people are motivated by two things, love and fear. And of the two, fear is more reliable. He wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Why? Because love is fickle. People stop loving you the moment you stop giving them what they want. But fear lasts. Fear makes people think twice. Fear creates respect. Now, before you misunderstand, neither man is telling you to become a tyrant. They're telling you to understand human nature, to see people as they are, not as you wish they were. Because if you don't understand what motivates people, they will manipulate you. They will use your naivety against you, and you'll wonder why you keep losing. So the third key is this. Understand that people act out of self-interest, and use that knowledge to your advantage. This doesn't mean being cynical. It means being realistic. When someone helps you, ask yourself, what do they gain? When someone opposes you, ask yourself, what do they fear? And when you need someone's cooperation, don't appeal to their goodness. Appeal to their interest. Show them how helping you helps them. That's influence. That's persuasion. That's how you move through the world without being crushed by it. 3 years after writing The Prince, Machiavelli still hadn't been invited back to power. He was isolated, ignored, watching lesser men thrive while he rotted in exile. And yet, he kept writing. Why? Because he understood something Nietzsche would later articulate perfectly, that the greatest power is not external, it's internal. It's the power to endure, to persist, to keep moving forward when everything tells you to quit. Nietzsche called this amor fati, love of fate, not just accepting what happens to you, but loving it, embracing it, using it. He wrote, "My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. This isn't passivity. It's the ultimate form of strength, the refusal to be a victim, the decision to turn every obstacle into fuel." Machiavelli lived this before Nietzsche wrote it. He lost everything, his position, his reputation, his security. And instead of collapsing, he wrote, he studied, he created a legacy that outlived every man who betrayed him. He turned his exile into immortality. That's power. Not the power to control circumstances, the power to control yourself within any circumstance. So here's the fourth key. Develop an unbreakable internal core that no external event can shatter. This means training your mind to be resilient, to withstand rejection, to endure failure, to keep going when everyone else quits. Most people are strong when things are easy, but the moment life hits them, they crumble. They blame, they complain, they wait for rescue. But the unstoppable, they adapt. They learn, they evolve, and they come back stronger. How do you build this? By choosing your response to everything. Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Find your purpose, your mission, your reason for existing, and let that be your anchor. When people betray you, use it to learn who to trust. When you fail, use it to learn what doesn't work. When life breaks you, use it to rebuild yourself into something harder to break. That's the internal core. That's what makes you unstoppable. Now let's talk about something both men warned against. The trap of resentment. Nietzsche had a word for it. Ressentiment, the poison of the weak, the bitterness that comes from feeling powerless. When you resent someone, you give them power over you. You think about them. You obsess over what they did. You fantasize about revenge. And all the while, they're living their life, not thinking about you at all. You've made yourself their prisoner. Machiavelli understood this too. He saw that the desire for revenge often destroys the person seeking it, because revenge requires you to stay focused on the past, on the hurt, on the injustice, and while you're focused there, you're not building. You're not moving forward, you're stuck. Machiavelli advised princes to be ruthless when necessary, yes, but never emotional. Never driven by anger or spite, cold, calculated, strategic. The fifth key is this. Release resentment and channel all energy toward your rise. This is one of the hardest lessons, because holding on to anger feels powerful. It feels like you're doing something, but you're not. You're corroding from the inside. Nietzsche wrote, "Beware that, when fighting monsters, you yourself do not become a monster. The moment you let bitterness consume you, you've already lost. You've become what you hate. What do you do instead? You transmute the pain. You take the energy of anger and you redirect it into your work, into your growth, into becoming someone they can't touch. That's the real revenge, not hurting them, but rising so far above them that they become irrelevant. That's power. That's freedom. That's how you win without ever fighting." Both Machiavelli and Nietzsche understood another truth that most people never grasp, that the herd fears the exceptional. Society doesn't want you to rise too high. It wants you to fit in, to be predictable, to follow the rules. And the moment you step outside those boundaries, the moment you start thinking for yourself, creating your own path, defying the expectations, you become a target. Nietzsche saw this everywhere. He watched mediocre men attack genius. He watched the masses pull down anyone who dared to be different. And he realized this is by design. The herd protects itself by punishing the outlier, by shaming the ambitious, by mocking the visionary. Nietzsche wrote, The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. If you want to be free, if you want to be powerful, you have to be willing to stand alone, to be misunderstood, to be hated. Machiavelli knew this from experience. He was despised in his time, called immoral, satanic. His name became an insult, but he didn't care, because he wasn't writing for the masses. He was writing for the few who could handle the truth, the few who were willing to see the world as it is. And those few, they became legends. So the sixth key is this: accept that being unstoppable means being misunderstood and embrace it. You will be criticized. You will be judged. People will say you're arrogant, cold, selfish, ruthless. Let them. Their opinions are their prison, not yours. The moment you start living for their approval, you've given up your power. You've joined the herd, and the herd doesn't create, doesn't lead, doesn't rise, it just exists. What does this look like in practice? It means making decisions that others won't understand, leaving jobs that look good but feel dead, cutting off relationships that drain you, even if people call you heartless, pursuing goals that seem unrealistic, and when people question you, when they tell you you're making a mistake, you smile and keep moving, because you know something they don't. You're not living their life, you're living yours, and their fear of judgment is not your chain. Now we come to the seventh and final key, and this is the synthesis, the culmination of everything Machiavelli and Nietzsche taught. Both men spent their lives studying greatness, not fame, not popularity, greatness. And they came to the same conclusion: that greatness is not given. It's not inherited, it's forged, through suffering, through struggle, through the willingness to become something more than you were born to be. Nietzsche called this the Übermensch, the overman, not a perfect being, not a superhero, but a human who has overcome the limitations society placed on them, a human who creates their own values instead of inheriting them, a human who says yes to life, even when life is brutal. Nietzsche wrote, "Man is something that shall be overcome." What have you done to overcome him? In other words, what have you done to surpass your former self? To break free from the programming? To become who you're capable of being? Machiavelli expressed the same idea through his concept of virtù, not virtue in the moral sense, but excellence, mastery, the ability to adapt, to act, to seize the moment. He studied leaders throughout history and found that the ones who succeeded were the ones who combined knowledge with action, who saw opportunity and took it, who didn't wait for permission, who made their own fate. So the seventh key is this: commit to constant self-overcoming, becoming more capable, more strategic, more powerful every single day. This is not about perfection. It's about evolution. Every day you wake up and ask, what can I learn today? What can I improve? What weakness can I turn into strength? And you do the work, not for applause, not for recognition, but because you refuse to stay the same, because you understand that life is a process of becoming, and the moment you stop growing, you start dying. Let's bring this into the real world. You're building something, a business, a skill, a life, and it's hard. You're failing more than you're succeeding. People are doubting you. Maybe you're doubting yourself. Most people quit here. They decide it's not worth it. They go back to comfort, to safety, to the herd. But if you've internalized these 7 keys, you don't quit. You remember that power is earned, not given. You put on the mask and keep moving. You understand that people are self-interested and you use that. You strengthen your internal core so failure doesn't break you. You release resentment and focus on rising. You accept being misunderstood as the price of greatness. And you commit to self-overcoming, knowing that every obstacle is making you sharper, harder, more unstoppable. That's the difference. That's what separates those who rise from those who fade. Not talent, not luck, not even hard work, but the willingness to see reality clearly and act accordingly. The willingness to embrace the darkness that most people deny. The willingness to become dangerous in the best sense of the word. Dangerous to mediocrity. Dangerous to complacency. Dangerous to anyone who tries to keep you small. Machiavelli died in 1527, still in exile, never restored to power. Nietzsche died in 1900 alone, after years of madness. The world rejected them both, called them evil, called them dangerous, and yet, centuries later, their ideas endure. Why? Because they told the truth, a truth that doesn't change, a truth that applies to every age, every person, every struggle. The truth that the world belongs to those who take it, not through force, but through understanding, through strategy, through the refusal to be anything less than unstoppable. So here's the question. Are you ready to accept that truth? Are you ready to stop pretending the world is fair? Are you ready to stop waiting for someone to give you permission to rise? Are you ready to look at yourself honestly and ask, what am I capable of if I stop holding back? Most people aren't. Most people will hear these 7 keys and feel uncomfortable. They'll reject it. They'll say it's too dark, too cynical, too harsh, and they'll go back to their lives wondering why nothing ever changes. But you're still here. You've listened this far, which means something in you recognizes the truth. Something in you is tired of being weak, tired of losing, tired of watching others take what you deserve. If that's you, then take these 7 keys, study them, internalize them, live them, and watch what happens. Watch how people start treating you differently. Watch how opportunities start appearing. Watch how fear turns into respect. Watch how you stop being a victim of circumstances and become the creator of your own fate. This is what Machiavelli and Nietzsche were trying to tell us. Not that we should be cruel, not that we should be heartless, but that we should be real, that we should see the game for what it is and play it better than anyone else. That's power. That's freedom. That's what it means to be unstoppable. If this opened your eyes to something you've been avoiding, if this gave you the clarity you needed, then hit that subscribe button. Smash that like. Turn on notifications. Because here at the Hidden Codex, we don't deal in comfortable lies. We don't sell you empty motivation. We go deeper, into the minds of history's most dangerous thinkers, into the truths they tried to bury, into the strategies that actually work. Next time, we're exploring something even darker, the hidden teachings of Carl Jung on the shadow, and why confronting it is the only way to true power. You don't want to miss that. Until then, take these 7 keys and use them. The world is waiting for someone to take it. Why not you? Stay awake.